The state says that killing you is justice.
No, it's not justice. It's not justice. Two wrongs don't make a right. And, family of the victim, they do not want to see me die. Killing me for the state, the victim's family don't want me to die.
Wanda Jean Allen received a death sentence in 1989 for the murder of Gloria Jean Leathers, her longtime partner, who was 29 years old. Since 1954, Allen was the first black woman to be put to death in the US. Since executions resumed in the United States of America in 1977, she was the sixth woman to die via lethal injection. The second of 8 kids, Wanda Jean Allen was born on August 17, 1959. Her father abandoned the family when Wanda's last sibling was born, and the family struggled to get by on public assistance while residing in public housing and having an alcoholic mother. Allen was struck by a truck at the age of 12 and rendered unconscious, and she was stabbed in the left temple when she was 14 or 15 years old. Allen's actual abilities were discovered to be very limited, and her IQ was determined to be 69. It was discovered to be particularly relevant that her left hemisphere was defective because this affected her comprehension, her capacity for logical expression, and her capacity for cause and effect analysis. Additionally, it was determined that Allen was more prone than others to becoming disordered by daily stresses, making her more susceptible to losing control under pressure. By the time she was 17, she had dropped out of high school. She had behavioral issues throughout her adolescence, which led to some time spent in a juvenile facility. Later, she spent time in foster care. In 1981, Allen lived with Dedra Pettus, a friend from her childhood that eventually became her girlfriend. They got into a fight on June 29, 1981, and Allen shot and killed Pettus. Allen claimed in her confession that while retaliating against Pettus's lover, she unintentionally shot Pettus from a distance of about 30 feet, but the forensic evidence did not support her account. A police specialist in particular thought that Pettus's injuries, including bruising and powder burns, showed that Allen hit her with the pistol before shooting her at point-blank range. Allen was given a 4-year sentence in exchange for entering a guilty plea to a manslaughter charge after prosecutors reached a compromise with her. She only spent 2 years in prison for that crime. Pettus was laid to rest in Oklahoma City's Strice Hill Cemetery. Allen and Gloria Jean Leathers were sharing a home 7 years after Dedra Pettus's passing. The two had a tumultuous and violent relationship after meeting in prison. Leathers, a 29-year-old Oklahoma City resident, was shot in front of the village police department on December 2, 1988. The two women engaged in a fight at a supermarket shop 15 minutes before the incident. The two ladies were led to their home by a city officer who watched as Leathers gathered her possessions. Allen requested Leathers to remain and try to sort out their troubles before she departed the residence. Allen pursued Leathers to her car, at which point Leathers took a garden rake and smacked Allen in the face. Leathers and her mother departed and drove to report Allen. Allen claimed that she had followed them in an effort to persuade Leathers to stay with her. Leathers still had the rake when Allen approached her in the parking lot. After that, Allen went back to her car, got a revolver, and when she saw Leathers drawing near, she fired 1 shot, seriously wounding Leathers. The shooting was seen by Leathers' mother. No one from the police department witnessed the gunshot, but 2 officers and the dispatcher heard it. The .38 caliber handgun the police found is the one they think was used in the shooting close to the woman's house. On December 5, 1988, 3 days after the shooting, Leathers passed away. She was laid to rest in Sperry, Oklahoma's Green Acres Memorial Gardens Cemetery. The state declared it would seek the death sentence and charged Allen with first-degree murder. The defense at her trial was heavily based on evidence that Leathers had a history of violence and had fatally stabbed a lady in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1979. Allen reportedly feared Leathers because on several occasions the former bragged about how she murdered that woman. The mother of Leathers, to whom Leathers had disclosed the stabbing, was called to testify in order for the defense to support this assertion. However, the prosecution objected, and the court ruled that such testimony could not be presented since it was deemed hearsay. The prosecutor painted Allen as an unrepentant liar. Her first-degree murder conviction and death sentence were both upheld by the jury. Prosecutors from Oklahoma County characterized Allen throughout her trial as someone who went in search of her victims. A card Allen had given Leathers was shown by the prosecution. A gorilla was depicted on the card, and the message on it was, "Patience my ass. I am going to kill something." Allen had written inside, "Try and leave me and you will understand this car more." Dig. For real. No joke. The prosecution argued that Allen should receive the death penalty during the punishment phase because she had previously been convicted of a crime involving the use or threat of violence. She posed a continuing threat to society, and she committed the murder to avoid being apprehended or prosecuted. The jury concluded that Allen's case had the first two aggravating factors. Numerous mitigating factors were given by her defense, including her positive relationship with her family, her strong work habits, and her dread of the victim. During the sentencing phase, the prosecution gave testimony about the details surrounding Dedra Pettis' death and made comparisons between this earlier crime and Leathers' passing. In a 1991 affidavit, Allen's defense attorney David Presson stated that after the trial, he learned that Allen's IQ was measured at 69 when she was 15 years old, placing her just within the upper limit of the classification of mental retardation, according to the psychologist who analyzed her. He also stated that an examining physician had advised a neurological assessment because Allen displayed signs of brain damage. "I did not look for any medical or psychological documents or seek expert aid for use in the trial," the attorney claimed. In 1995, a psychologist completed a thorough evaluation of Allen and discovered solid proof of cognitive, sensory motor, and brain dysfunction that may have been caused by an adolescent head injury. 3 of the 5 individuals who make up the Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board were chosen by Governor Frank Keating. Keating, who was debating whether the Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board had sufficient knowledge of Allen's educational background, thought about granting Allen a stay. Allen's legal team has cited her 1970s IQ test result of 69 as evidence that she might have an intellectual handicap. In the penalty phase of her trial, the prosecution said Allen testified that she had completed high school and obtained a certificate in medical assisting from a college. However, they said Allen left high school at the age of 16 and never finished her medical assistant program coursework. Wanda Jean Allen spent 23 hours a day in her cell, being allowed to get out of confinement only for 1 hour, like all death row inmates. Other than a TV and a radio, she had no personal belongings in her cell. She enjoyed opera, the Chicago Bulls, and reading Daniel Steele and John Grisham books. She brought up her family numerous times. Mary Allen, her mother, lived only a few miles away from the prison. Allen spent 12 years on death row. Her clemency request was turned down.
"I want to live, and I'm very ashamed and very sorry. This is my greatest assignment in life. Please live."
She converted to Christianity when she was incarcerated. Reverend Robin Myers, Allen's spiritual advisor, said she knew perfectly well that her being attracted to women was a big strike against her and that it's an embarrassment in the black community. She was going to play the best hand that she could play at the very end. On January 11, 2001, the state of Oklahoma carried out the lethal injection execution of Allen at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAllister.
This journey. Wanda Jean Allen was pronounced dead at 9:21 p.m. The execution has been carried out.
24 family members of the manslaughter victim Dedra Pettis and the murder victim Gloria Leathers traveled there for the execution. Many of them sat behind the tinted window and observed the killing.
You know, it made it easy for you to say, "Hey, I don't feel sorry for this joker no more." Then she turns around, she licks her tongue out, smiles, she's laughing. It all seemed like a joke to her. Like she never showed remorse.
Her final words were, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. She also laughed and stuck her tongue out at David Presson, her friend and the appeals lawyer. He claims that while they were attempting to kill her, she was dancing on the mattress. She was pronounced dead at 9:21 p.m. The execution, according to Leather's relatives, offered them closure. In my opinion, Ellen had severe mental issues, and her capacity of understanding the consequences of her actions was not the same as your regular death row inmate. She did not have the same ability to distinguish right from wrong, nor did she comprehend the permanent outcome of her actions. That being said, she did murder 2 people that she claimed to love. She really was a danger to society, and spending her life outside of a prison would have not been possible. Did she deserve the death penalty? Yes, absolutely she did. Could she have gotten life in prison instead? Well, considering her low IQ, I really do believe that this would have been enough of a punishment in her situation. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.